Here's what middle-aged people sometimes get wrong about older adulthood and what I consider the aging experience, which is older adulthood. A couple of days ago, I was interviewed for a segment on NPR. And in this interview, the interviewer, who I suspect was maybe middle-aged, was asking me, a middle-aged woman, about my own aging journey. I'm a geropsychologist. I have been working with older adults for more than 20 years. And when people ask me about aging, I expect that we're talking about older adulthood. So 65, 75, 85, 95. And in my mind, 50 years old is just embarking. It's just in the beginning stages of aging. Of course, when we're born, we start aging, right? We start developing and growing and aging. We're aging all throughout our lives. So there's that construct of aging. And then there's another construct of aging, which is older adulthood. Older adulthood, for the purposes of research, spans from 65 to 122 years old, has been the oldest living person documented to live until 122. And so that is almost 60 years. That's like 55 years of life, of older adulthood. And so you can imagine between 65 and 122, if people live that long, there's a lot of development and change that happens. Older adulthood is not one fixed moment in time. Aging is not one fixed moment in time. But so I was on this NPR segment, and the interviewer asked me about my own aging journey. And I felt a little flustered in answering the question because in my mind, I have not approached my aging. I'm just on the precipice of an aging journey. I'm near 50. I'll be 50 in a couple of months, so I'm middle-aged. And here's what middle-aged people sometimes get wrong about older adulthood and what I consider the aging experience, which is older adulthood. What middle-aged people often get wrong is that we often project our fear and dread about the aging experience onto older adulthood. Let me give you an example. So, a few years ago, AARP did a large study looking at more than 2,000 people spanning from 45 to 85, and they asked, "How afraid of death are you?" And the respondents, based on stage of life and age, had very different responses. People 45, 55 had higher fear of death than people in older adulthood, than 75, 85-year-olds. And the older we got, the less fearful of death we were. And so what happens often is in middle age, we project our fears onto what life will be like in older age. And perhaps we're witnessing changes happening in our older loved ones. And that can be very painful and scary. At the same time, what we overlook in middle age sometimes is that in older age, we get very good, hopefully, at adapting, and that people adapt to changes that are happening in their life. And so these are trends, these are not rules. Not everybody does this the same way, but we often overlook an older person's resilience and self-compassion and ability to adapt to changes that are happening and project the dread that we have about older adulthood or chronic illness or physical changes that might happen. And so I wish I had said all of that in the NPR clip. And so when people ask me about my own aging journey as a 50-year-old woman, I sort of cringe because I think, I don't know. I haven't lived it yet. But what I do know is the fabulous opportunities I've had to bear witness and walk alongside thousands of older adults and their family members and partners in navigating their own aging journey, and the beautiful lessons I've learned and some of the painful life lessons I've learned along the way and along my work with them. And so I'm looking forward to sharing some of those lessons with you over the next few weeks. I'm Dr. Regina Kepps. I'm a geropsychologist. That's a psychologist who specializes with older adults, and I founded the Center for Mental Health and Aging. My goal is each week to bring you a mental health and aging tip. And so today's tip is all about being mindful, depending on your stage of life, to not project your current experience onto an older person's experience, and to not overlook all of the resilience and adaptability and grace and self-compassion that can come with the aging experience. So I'll see you next time for another mental health and aging tip. If you found this episode helpful, would you follow, review, subscribe, and share it with others? It really helps other people to find us so that they too can join the movement for mental health and aging. Because, as you know, there is no expiration date on healing, transformation, and love. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.